So it's time for City Press, where we take a look at the headlines across dailies this morning. A quick reminder that we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, both at City 1051. My name is Chiwata Onyema.
I am Baby Sasa. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, let's kick start with the Punch newspaper this morning. ASU parents protest as more varsities hike fees. With the rider, prevail on universities to reverse fee increase. PTA tells Tinubu fears mass dropout. Lecturers slam federal government over poor funding. Students will take to cybercrime. Parents warn. Okay, so as tertiary institutions across the country begin a new session next week, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, parents and students have started protesting as more varsities continue to hike their fees amid a worsening economy. Now, ASU, as well as the Association of Parents and Students, warned about the likelihood of mass dropout of students following the hike in fees by the varsities across the country. Now, we had spoken about this on Monday when we had both guests here, Achike and Biodu Shomi, when we spoke about universities' financial autonomy or no financial autonomy, and also we spoke about the fact that ever since the student loan was announced by this present administration, I'm talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. The price have gone up, and people are wondering to what effect. A lot of students have not really even had access to these loans in the first place. So this hike right now might not just be coming at the right time, and it's quite interesting because we are we're in a very, very, very crucial and very, very tight corner as a country. Looking at one, subsidy has been removed, so there's hiking almost everything. And now even getting to schools, I mean, back then a lot of people, part of the perks of attending a federal university was that your tuition or the fees you're going to pay will be very, very very, very, very cheap as opposed to as compared to other universities. But right now you're seeing universities ask students to pay fees for as much as 200,000 within that range, and it's quite it's quite ridiculous because it's like we just slept and woke up and all of a sudden parents cannot afford to send their children to school. I mean, I think this is really, really sad. The government has to look into it, because if we really want to develop our country, our educational system has to work. We have to have people go to school, be educated.
When exactly the roundtable meeting is going to be effective and put to good use, because it is all talk and no implementation of all these talks and policies. Now, a lot of people have already clamored for there to be a state of emergency declared on the educational sector. If we're not hearing about strike, we're hearing about a lot of students having the intentions to drop out because they can no longer afford to pay tuition fees. Just a couple of days ago, we played the clip of a lady who was crying, and just being devastated about the high cost of tuition, knowing fully well that she's even the one responsible for her schooling. Her parents are no longer, being able to afford it. As you said earlier, back when I was in school, I attended a federal school, and it was at a subsidized rate. And it wasn't just about the money; those were not just the perks, but the quality of the education that was given was, so high. A lot of people really, really, were gunning for schools like, especially. I mean, I am proud of being an alumni of University of Ilorin. That was where I attended, and it was such an amazing time during my stay in the university studying law for 5 years. There was no point in time where there was strike, even though at the time University of Ilorin had not yet joined the strike union. But then again, it is quite devastating, knowing fully well that the earnings, the wages of these parents, those responsible, those those who have their children in schools, is not commensurate to the amounts they are now being asked to pay.
Now, some people have said that, not even some people, it's a fact actually that education is expensive. We know that. But then again, it takes me back to part of the, the reasons given by the president for removing subsidy. Remember, he said it was going to be invested in education, going to be invested in health. So the question now is, with these investments, we can't be having, schools fees hikes, having a hike in school fees. Because if you're saying, okay, you're going to invest this money in universities, one would expect that, okay, the money should get into the universities and things could be better off for the students to have a good environment to, have their lectures and get educated. But then again, it's looking like, it's not adding up right now. And I would just say that, look, we need to take this thing seriously. If we are saying that tertiary institutions have to have a particular, level, there's a particular amount that has to be paid, then maybe it's time for us to now focus on how we can ensure that our primary school education, our secondary education is strong, is sound enough, whereby you can now say if you want to go to university, it's optional. Because the truth is, reality check in Nigeria, you want to get a job right now, a job that can pay you a reasonable amount to earn a living. Every employer is asking you to be at least, a graduate, right? So if we can actually work on our primary schools and our secondary schools and make it solid enough that one can, after secondary school can earn a living, a decent living for themselves, then maybe we can now say, okay, you know what, since universities are optional, you know what you're getting yourself into. Maybe by that time you ensure also that the student loans are quite accessible, and then it now begins to make sense.
We're already having a total depletion when it comes to human resource, with it so many people leaving the country to earn a better living, and a lot of people are also towing the path of education. So if we're already having so many people leaving the country, and here in our country the level of the system is going on a nosedive, they will need resuscitation whether we like it or not. People would also accrue this issue to the cost of governance, because whether you like it or not, it is also part of the issues. If those who are in governance are not having their children's school here, probably there would be no serious action taken.
You have a point.
So we need to look at these things and get to work.
Okay, moving on to other headlines in the Punch newspaper this morning. Manufacturers slash outputs, jobs over forex crisis. Slain soldiers, over 6,000 family members to get insurance claims. Federal government predicts heavy rainfall, flooding in 48 towns. I hope NEMA is ready. Libya flood kills 6,000, victims buried in mass graves. Land grabbers violence return to Lagos, leaves trail of blood and deaths. One Fiat killed as flood wreaks havoc in Lagos estate. Naira weekends to 950 naira to $1. Forex scarcity worsens. Those are the headlines in the Punch newspaper this morning.
Let's move over to the Nation newspaper now. This one says employers reject NLC's plan to shut down economy. The writers, why it is avoidable, by Isa Aremo. TUC awaits government action on proposals. We'll definitely have to talk about this. So the proposed strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress will be counterproductive if it goes ahead. Private employers of labor cautioned yesterday. We've already started seeing that the union itself, is not as formidable as it used to be prior to now.
I'm surprised, honestly.
And according to them, the NLC should seek better opportunities for its members to cushion subsidy removal pain through dialogue with the government. And as we said earlier, all these roundtable talks, what exactly is the action after? What exactly is the action after? When are you going to execute the plans? When are you going to execute the agreement that was made? We already know, and we keep it. In fact, it sounds like a broken record already, that the federal government, has a deficit when it comes to, fulfilling their promises now. Whenever there is a prompting to strike, it's either okay, let's have a roundtable meeting into the wee hours of the night. In the morning it is called off, and then few weeks again we hear that the strike will go on. Early in the month, the NLC president now, Joe Ajaero, called out workers on a 2-day warning strike. Remember that? But he attracted mixed compliance on the September 5th and 6th, where some states did not comply fully. Announcing the warning strike, Ajaero, who shunned a meeting called by Labour Minister Simon Lalong, said a total shutdown of the economy would follow in 14 days unless the government reversed the pump price of petrol to pre-May 29, among other reasons. I'm sorry, the pump price has not yet been reversed. This fuel subsidy removal is still very much in place. The Trade Union Congress as well declined to join the NLC for the warning strike, opted for a dialogue with the government within 2 weeks. Where has that gotten us? Nothing has changed.
I'm really surprised with the employers now of the labor market.
Yes.
Because I'm like, are we not in all of this together? Is this not biting everybody across board? Because I'm just hoping that this is not us, being Nigerians when they say, whatever you throw at us, we keep it going. Because it's looking as though people are beginning to conform. Some people are beginning to conform to, the new hardship in the country. Because I don't see why NLC should say or suggest that there should be a total shutdown in the country. And some people are saying, oh no, we don't want to. With TUC, with TUC is different. Right, because maybe they're supposed to be, on the same page. So there's that talk of, okay, you guys can carry us along and all that. But this is an issue that is affecting everybody.
But that's the thing. How effective has strike been?
In the past, if we look at it, if it's been done well, one of the most memorable strikes we've had, if I can remember very well, was 2012, right, when it was shut down. Fine, it didn't go back to the price it was initially, but there was a change in the proposed plan of the new price. They were going to they were increasing the fuel price to. There was actually a reverse from that. There was a reconsideration. It was effective. Everybody, gathering. There was protest all around. There was some level of, unity across board. So what I'm saying is, I'm surprised that some people are saying, no, let's not do it. Oh, we should not do it. Are you saying that we all should just let it go? Just keep it going? Act as though we are not facing any hardship at all as a country?
I feel strike is inevitable at some times,
but it seems like
it should be prevented. It can be prevented. A total shutdown is not going to benefit anybody. Even those who eventually go on the strike, it's not going to benefit anybody.
But sacrifice
so
has
the
to be
trust
made.
deficit that is lagging with the government has to be, revived. There has to be execution. If there are plans, if there is an agreement that has been made, then ensure you fulfill those agreements.
I would have suggest or expect that the government right now should be having some kind of talks that gives some level of hope to people. Talks like, okay, so let's start talking about the minimum wage. What's going to happen? How much are we going to put? Are we going to put it at?
We've heard so much talk. That's what we are saying.
No. What I'm saying is, if with minimum wage, it can't really be effective till like beginning of next year, right? What we're saying is, start having this kind of talks right now.
Nigerians, we too like talk.
So people would know something is happening. So it's a case of, we are already in talks with you as regards minimum wage. By January, this is going to be the minimum amount anybody working in Nigeria should earn. Then people will take you seriously. But right now, it's just, business as usual. We've said we're going to give you some bags of rice, which some people have not even received. It's not making sense.
Is that still going on?
Of course, we saw a clip of people, grabbing bags of rice in Ibadan. From a moving vehicle.
Wow. Was that meant for the palliatives or something else?
It looked like something for palliative, though, because when you have a lot of people rushing at something like that, it most likely means it's for the people. Because if it's for somebody that owns that, the person would definitely revolt that people are attacking his or her vehicle. So,
all right.
I suspect it is.
Moving on this morning in the Nation newspaper, Tinubu, Abiodun, others felicitate Alake at 80. NIMC moved to Interior Ministry to speed up passport issuance. This is really important because it is quite excruciating the level of time you have to waste just because you want to get your passport either renewed or you want to get it. So hopefully with this move is going to, expedite things, and people don't have to wait long hours. It is so bad that people even travel.
Yeah, people travel to other states, because they feel Lagos is really saturated, and a lot of people, and the process here, the money you have to pay.
Exactly, because some people, guess what? The money you pay in Kwara is not the same you pay in Ibadan. It's not the same the money you pay in Abuja, and I really do not know why we don't have a unified system.
Okay, so we do have one, but you see, it's a case of, and I'm just going to be honest about this.
Let's speed it up.
Not speed it up. It's a case of with Nigeria. It's sad, really sad. But it's a case of, do you want to follow the front door or do you want to follow the back door?
Off your mic.
I'm just saying. That's what it is.
There's no evidence to that. Have you ever followed the back door to get your passport?
Let's just move on to the next headline.
No, just come with facts.
Which fact? Oh, really? So I really want to say, you're aiding and abetting.
Your passport.
We
just need the facts here.
Which facts?
Your last passport, did you go through the back door?
Baby, let's just focus on the next headline, please.
Moving on, NEMA's alert floor to pound 50 communities in 13 states. All right, food energy prices push inflation to highest level in 18 years. From one issue to another, whether we like it or not, the rising cost of foodstuff, energy, logistics, and other living items have further eroded Nigerians' disposable incomes. How much are we earning? That we have to spend on this, on that, pushing the headline inflation rate to its highest level in 18 years. But they say, you know what, before you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you have to still crawl inside that tunnel in darkness. So maybe this is the time we have to crawl, but Nigerians are just tired. I'm a Nigerian, and I'm in that WhatsApp group. I am tired as well.
The crawling thing, like I said, if we can see some things over time, government hasn't really been so. I've not really kept to their word. So when it comes to trust, a lot of people really, really, really doubt the government. So it's a case of, you're putting us through this process, we're not even sure if we're going to get out of it. So a lot of things needs to be done.
So economic intelligence reports by many finance and economic firms surveyed indicated that inflation may rise by more than 100 basis points to above 25%. The 8th consecutive monthly increase and the highest since August 2005. And this is a point we all have to say, get ready to tighten your belt.
I think not tightened enough.
Well, there's still an extra hole if you push it further.
Just remove the belt and trouser for
right?
Please.
Analysts were unanimous that inflation rate remains elevated, even though the projections differ slightly. And on the average, inflation is expected to increase from 24.8% in July to about 25% in August.
This is not encouraging at all.
It is not encouraging, and remember, we're already in the last quarter of the year, so things even get pricier, things get more expensive. So there's a possibility that things would be more expensive towards the festive season and all of that.
There's still the excuse of it's a new government, right? It's a new government. I mean, they haven't even spent up to a year. I mean, we just had new ministers. Some we've seen them hit the ground running, even though some of them have hit the ground so hard and the ground is cracking. But we need to see more things being done, because like you said, we're getting to the season where the price of things are going up, inflation is going up, the naira is just crashing every day. Now we're looking at 930 naira to $1. So it's things need to be done fast, not just in case of things need to be done fast, quickly. We know it's a new government, they should be given some time to work on things, but it has to be done fast.
Nigerians just want to see results. They want to enjoy the dividends of democracy. I mean, is it so hard to give? Is it so hard to achieve? Is it so hard to achieve?